Americans are crazy about pie. We all know we came from other countries and brought our traditions with us when we settled America. But I like to say that in addition to embracing pie and making it one of our traditions, we even perfected it. Americans can bake anything into a pie. All you need is a crust on the bottom of a pan, a crust on the top, sometimes not even that, and you can make yourself a pie. We bake them with fruit, with cream, with chocolate. All different kinds of things go into our pies. People even make spinach and meat pies. So today I'd like to show you how I make one of my favorite, and it's America's #1 pie, apple pie. And first we want to make the crust. This is a really basic crust. It's a recipe that my mother passed down to me. About 200 grams of butter will do. I'm just going to cream it a little bit. You can see I cut it into pieces first. I'm just creaming it a little bit. You don't want your butter too soft because you want the mixture to be nice and crumbly. I'm adding about 1/2 cup of sugar. I'll just mush that together. Next, I'm going to add an egg yolk, not the whole egg, just the yellow part. Just mix that a little bit and put that into the crust. And because I'm using unsalted butter, normally I would just use a little pinch of salt, but I'm going to add quite a bit more here. See, I'm mixing it pretty roughly because I will knead it with my hands in a little while. I'm adding about 3 cups of flour. You might need a little more, but let's see, we'll add about that much. Let's reserve some. And next I'm adding about 1/4 cup of ice cold water. You want the water to be very cold, and just sprinkle it right over the rest of the ingredients. You want to make sure that the crust holds together but is a bit crumbly. You don't want it to be like a cookie dough or a cake batter. So you can see it's a nice crumbly mixture, and if you wanted, it holds together. You could take a rolling pin and roll it out into a flat piece and then put it into the pie plate. But I have a tricky way to do it. It's a shortcut that my mother showed me because my mother was actually the queen of baking shortcuts. I'm just going to take pieces and press it into the bottom of the pie pan. You want to make sure that it's a thin layer. If it's too thick, it won't cook properly and the fruit will cook too quickly for the crust. My grandparents came from Italy, and my mother was a first-generation American. And she embraced a lot of the American traditions. My grandmother, of course, kept up with all the Italian traditions that she brought with her. And my mother wanted to add more American traditions to the holidays, like Thanksgiving, for instance. So she learned how to bake pies. This pie plate already has crimped edges, but what I'm going to do is just use my fingers to crimp the pie crust a little bit all around. Makes a nice decoration, and it makes it a lot easier to serve later because the crust will be it won't be stuck so much into the pie pan. And we're ready to add the filling. You see we have about half of the pie crust left, and that's good because we're going to use this nice crumbly mixture for the top of the pie to make a nice crumb topping. I'll put that aside for now. So the next thing we have to do is peel the apples. I like to use a good red delicious apple. They're the really big red ones. But today I found these. They're a little small. Any good, firm, sweet apple will do. This is where it would be nice to have some help come in. You don't have to arrange them like you would a tart because there'll be a top on it. So you can see we have a really nice high mound of apples. It's just like a little mountain of apples there. And that's good because it's going to flatten out when we cook it. So now what I'm going to do is take a little bit of butter and just put it all around here. That'll make the apples really nice and juicy and give a nice flavor and consistency. Next, I'm taking a little more sugar. And since they're really sweet apples, I'm not going to use that much, just a little bit to make it juicy. So I'm sprinkling some cinnamon. Maybe about a teaspoon or so, just cover the top, and that'll all sink in. You don't have to mix it before you put it in the pie. Remember we had this leftover pie crust from when we made the crust. We used half in the bottom, and I'm taking the rest of it, and I'm just going to cover all of the apples with the crumbs and just press it a little bit. You just want to have them on there loosely and pat it all around. And all the apples are covered. There it is. Okay, and one last step before I put it in the oven. I'm going to sprinkle it one more time with cinnamon. And that'll give the crust a really nice flavor as well. So here it is. We're ready to put it in the oven. Now in an American oven, I would bake it for about 45 minutes at 350 degrees. That's about 180 for a European oven. And I'm going to just put the apple pie right in the middle. This is baked for about 45 minutes now, and I can smell that it must be done. It just smells great. You can see it's a nice golden brown color. You can hear the juices bubbling a little bit. Okay, the pie is done. Usually I like to let it sit for about 5 minutes before you cut it because it makes all the juices go back into the apples.